obviously good to get back out and get some work in, especially for the guys that did not play this past weekend. We're still kind of obviously being less than 48 hours out really from the game. We're still monitoring some guys, but we came out pretty clean for the most part. Obviously, Andrew Booth with the ankle. He'll be, a little bit more than day-to-day. We'll see how he progresses throughout the week, but, the hope is no matter what, he should be green-lit for the Green Bay game. So that's an update, obviously, on that. And then we did indeed trade for Nick Mullens this morning from the Las Vegas Raiders, able to add a player with a lot of experience, guys that started 17 games and had some real production and some offenses with some different similar traits to ours. I mean, I'd like to think we're doing something here that's our own version of what we're doing, but, I've always admired Nick from afar, can tell he's a worker, can tell he's a grinder and very talented, experienced player. So anytime I give credit to Kwesi and his staff upstairs for identifying a chance to add a high-quality player to our quarterback room, throw him in the mix with the other guys, with Kirk leading the way, obviously, and we'll be excited to get him here and get him rolling. So big week for us. Obviously, practice tomorrow. We'll have a ramped-up scrimmage feel on Thursday where we'll really try to get some reps and simulate a game in a lot of ways with quarters and a halftime, but still along the preparation lines of getting our guys ready to roll for September 11th. With that, I'll open it up to you guys. Yeah, I think we've got some real resources, between we've got a virtual room, we've got a bunch of coaches that can be, meeting with him extra, if he needs that time. And then obviously, we'll have walkthroughs, we'll have different ways of keeping him engaged, even though he can't get those full speed reps. I think Andrew will be just fine from a mental standpoint. We have had a lot of our defense in and installed. Ed's still working through adding some things here and there. But for the most part, I think Andrew's done a really nice job and really progressed despite having the ankle early on and then obviously kind of the re-aggravation of that. But like where Andrew's at, he's done some really good things in the games.
Kevin, why, in your words, do you feel you had to bring in another quarterback now at this point?
Yeah, I had to is your words, not mine. But I would say that anytime you can add, add a quality player at that position to the room, a guy that has that kind of experience and really production for the 17 games started, have good relationships with some guys that have coached him. I know Kwesi had a relationship with him, obviously, from his time in Cleveland. And then ultimately just, the competition's going to go down to the very end here. And, that does not mean it always just stays the same. Sometimes we may feel the need to add a player at a position, not just quarterback, just to try to maximize what we're going to be this year as a football team. And feel really good about all those guys in that room. And I know there's some plays we would have certainly liked to have back from Saturday, but still a lot of positives coming out of the game for both Sean and Kellen, and have asked those guys to continue to progress on where they're at within the offensive system in the competition, and we'll be able to sort that thing out when the time's right, but a chance to add a really good player was why we did it.
Kevin, what are the factors in deciding how many quarterbacks you're ultimately going to keep on the 53-man?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that goes into it, not necessarily always at that position. A lot of it will have to do with other position battles, maybe where we've got some young players that we really like, but might not be 100% ready to go. But at the same time, we're going to have to make some tough decisions across our roster, and quarterback's no different. We feel very, very good about Kirk as our starter, and now we've got some decisions to make as we roll here and try to obviously get Nick acclimated quickly while still seeing where Sean and Kellen are at.
When did the idea of training for Nick Mullens first cross your desk, or when did you guys start thinking about it?
Yeah, I think it was recent for me, but as I said before, I credit Kwesi and his staff for, they're constantly, not just at that position, but at all positions, just evaluating the league, evaluating all the preseason tape from around the league. Obviously, we had a chance to play those guys and see them in person, see Nick in person. So I think, it's very easy to highlight this, but there's daily conversations at all positions, with the intent of giving ourselves the best possible training camp to find the best 53 we can to help us win this year. And that's exactly what we did at the quarterback position. And, we're going to see how that thing shakes out behind Kirk as our starter.
If Mullens wins that competition, just what's your confidence level since he hasn't been here that he could be ready for week one?
Yeah, my confidence level's high in Nick. Knowing the type of people that have coached him, their thoughts on him. I don't worry one bit about him getting ready to go from a standpoint of knowing our offense and the scheme and what we're going to try to do against Green Bay. I think he'll be able to apply his experience. That's why it's important when you do make a move like that. It's for somebody that has some game experience, has taken some real live snaps to help him acclimate even faster. And that's why we have Gerard and Chris O'Hara, Wes Phillips, myself. We'll do everything we can, use every moment we're allowed to get him ready, whenever he gets here.
So Lewis seen wearing ice around his knees. Everything all right there?
Everything's okay. Just like I said, Lou played some real snaps the other night, 48 hours, actually less than 48 hours out of that game. So Lou did some real good things in the game. He just had a little contusion or whatever Tyler and Uriah are calling it. I don't worry one bit about Lou.
Same with Harrison Phillips, compression sleeve, off to the side a little bit.
Yep, he had kind of, didn't aggravate an injury, but just had a real minor ankle last week that he actually practiced through against San Francisco. Give him a lot of credit for that, and he's truly day-to-day, just wearing out those guys, getting treatment and trying to get right back in there, taking his full reps.
He hasn't gotten there yet, but is the hope to give Mullens some action Saturday against Denver?
Yeah, we'll kind of see where he's at when he gets here. Obviously just coming out of a game himself very recently, we'll obviously put him through a physical and start meeting with him and just kind of see where he's at. Have not determined true playing time for really anybody on our roster yet. We have a pretty strong plan in place, but as we have multiple times, whatever I may have thought coming into training camp, we've made adjustments each week. We have a set plan, but it's always adaptable based on what's best for each individual player.
Having watched the tape, what did you see from some of those interior offensive linemen against the 49ers, Austin and Ed in there?
Yeah, I thought they had some real moments. That group had some real flashes in the first preseason game, and then we come back and play a completely different style of penetrating front that really tries to split double teams, and you really have to, despite not having a lot of reps at that defensive style, you have to adjust to it. And we can do some things to help those guys, but it was nice to see those guys adjust in game. Austin's had a great camp. Ed's really coming along strong. Blake on that right side, running that touchdown in with Ty Chandler. You start to see some of that physicality that second group has played with. And it's been really exciting knowing the type of depth we have, both in the O-line room and then the running back group that we have. All of those guys have really flashed to me, and it's been exciting.
More questions? Kevin, getting Irv Smith back out there. I know you talked about trying to at least get him on the field.
Yep.
What did you see from him today? What are you hoping that time does for him until you can get people?
First and foremost, he looks like he's in great shape. So I credit our sports performance staff and Josh Hanks for keeping him ready to go and engage despite him being out of surgery and not being able to do much. But I thought he moved great today. He'll continue to progress into real football, but he's made great strides, and I'm proud of the way Irv's kind of attacked this thing. He's been super dialed in the meeting rooms, in walkthrough, Coach Angelico, Coach Cordell, keeping him sharp, and now we just got to see exactly where he's at, being able to put it all together for what we can really put on his plate on September 11th. But I'm happy with where Irv's at right now and hoping to continue to progress him towards game action.